If it's your first time in Japan and you haven't booked a traditional ryokan, your Japan bucket list needs one. Slip into the zen of a private hot spring onsen, and don't skip indulging in a 12-course Kaiseki symphony of flavors. Ryokan magic awaits.
Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way.
If you're new here, welcome. I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin.
A ryokan is more than a place to sleep. It is a cultural experience that we think you're not going to want to miss.
We thought long and hard before booking a traditional Japanese inn because we knew they were very expensive and really hard to book because the availability is very short in a lot of places.
But we are so glad we did it. Even though it was a splurge, you can find cheaper ones that offer less if your budget is tight.
Not every ryokan serves dinner, and not everyone has a hot spring onsen, and definitely not all of them have a private open-air hot spring as part of your accommodations. We walk you through everything we ate, what we spent, and everything you need to know to have the best experience at a ryokan.
At the end, we'll give you tips on how to book your own ryokan experience.
We stayed at the Biwako Ryokusuitei, which is about 30 minutes from the Kyoto station. We took the JR Kozai line to the Ogato Onsen station. Then it was a quick 10 to 15 minutes for the hotel shuttle to take us to their property.
We wouldn't make this our primary destination because it is fairly remote, but it's perfect for 1 or 2 nights.
Our hotel ensured that every step was a white glove experience once they were involved.
Check-in time was 3 p.m., and since we were coming from activities in Hiroshima, we didn't arrive until 4:30 p.m.
Here's a tip. We'd highly suggest that you arrive earlier in the day and drop off your suitcases so you can enjoy exploring the grounds to get the most of the experience.
It's not a typical check-in process. You're given your own little small table, and a staff member comes by and asks you what time you want for dinner, and also your preferred breakfast time. We chose to have dinner at 6 p.m., but we probably should have requested it to be a little bit later. We took way too much time trying to figure out how to get dressed for dinner with our yukatas. We'll get to those in a bit.
Staff took our suitcases immediately after unloading, so we didn't have to touch them, which is very unusual for us. They also took them up to our room and gave us a tour of our space before departing.
We had a deluxe Japanese-style room with a private open-air hot spring onsen with a view of Lake Biwako.
All right, what do we got here?
Well, this was a really big indulgence, but Kevin has a friend who has been to Japan multiple times who said, you absolutely must get a Ryokan while you're here. And so I decided to, but it was very difficult to find because they're very expensive, and this time of year, they're in high demand. They have public baths, but they also have private baths in a few of the rooms, which is one of the things that I opted for. It's supposed to be hot springs with mineralized water that's supposed to have health benefits, but I don't know, this is gorgeous. We're only here for a night because it was really, really pricey, but I'm pretty excited.
And this down here, after dinner, they just transformed it into a bedroom area. Yeah, and they've been taking really good care of us so far.
Yes,
Didn't have to touch our luggage at all, and we're not used to that.
It's been quite a lovely experience so far.
Yeah.
We loved how spacious our room was and how bright. The terrace was a cherry on top, especially considering how small the rooms are in a typical Japanese hotel.
That's where you get
Cleaned up.
Before you go into that.
And there's where we dance. Don't know what's on that.
I hate to do it because I don't know what it's really for. You don't want to be too vain.
Yeah, let's avoid that. Oh, our outfits, yes.
The difficulty is we have no idea how to use them. So,
I'm sure it's just put them on, right? And then they have different sizes down here.
but there's also, it looks complicated. We'll do our best.
And our entry spot, where we left our shoes, as you should. And we have different slipper arrangements, choices, I guess. And then we got our refrigerator.
And I opened up something over there.
Oh, and this is the bedding that they'll probably put out tonight. So, nice. Ah, the essential.
I wasn't sure what these were, but they're little cookies and they have a design etched into them. That little cookie is actually an omi tea-baked rice cracker. People are mostly dressed in their yukatas from the time they arrive until the time that they leave. You can even sleep in them if you like. In addition to the yukatas in our hotel room, the hotel lobby also had some that you could choose from, and in that area they also included instructions on how to put it on.
Yeah, they were very basic instructions, and they really should have been up in the room because it was tricky for us. We thought it'd be easy after looking at those, but we had to watch several YouTube videos in order to get it right. So we're hoping this helps you skip that step.
You should be wearing undergarments underneath them. There are traditional garments for this purpose, but ours didn't come with them, so we wore our usual undergarments.
What's most key is to wrap the right side of the yukata around your left hip, then wrap the left side over the right. Check the bottom of the yukata to make sure the links are even.
Do not wear it with the right side on top of the left. This is how Japanese traditionally dress the dead.
Men wear their sash at their hips, and women around the waist.
It was a little tricky to use the sash because we didn't get cording or some of the other things that we saw in the video, but don't worry, people are really not spending a lot of time looking at you if the bow or sash isn't perfect. And not only is it important to know how to put on a yukata, but it also is important to know how to use the bathroom while you're wearing one.
Hint, if you grab the corners of the bottom and open the right side and then the left, you can tuck it in your sash if necessary.
In our seating area, there were coins that we could use for one free drink apiece during happy hour.
I ended up filming an episode of Whiskey Riffs, tasting Japanese sake that was aged in new oak barrels. So unfortunately, we didn't have time to enjoy a leisurely pre-dinner drink.
A link to Kevin's episode is in the description below. Before we talk about dinner, we're excited to share that we've started our own absolutely free community forum that we are calling La Familia. You can ask questions about trip planning and all things related to travel there. A video with the details is linked in the description below.
Dinner was amazing. All our food is seasonal and the portions were really generous. Plus, it's 12 courses, so make sure you arrive hungry.
Our dining experience was in a large private room just for us, which was a little bit unnerving.
We were told the dinner was shabu shabu, which means hot pot, but in reality, that was the smallest portion of the meal, and we were stuffed before it arrived.
Well before it arrived. The dinner menu was in Japanese, and even with Google Translate, we weren't sure what we were eating, and our server couldn't really speak any English and was super shy.
Perhaps it was because it seemed so formal, we felt we needed to keep our voices down, even though there wasn't anyone else around.
You'll have the best experience with your meal if you're open-minded and decide to try the beautifully presented range of foods, even if you don't recognize what they are. Because it's got an eyeball and everything.
Oh, gosh.
You try it first.
Our meal included an aperitif, then salt-steamed autumn eggplant and Japanese beef.
A seasonal platter with 4 different items, steamed sea bream, pottery steamed food, red soup stock with mushrooms, octopus.
Don't know what that is in the miso. Did you try it?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Is it meat?
Tastes like
Tastes like chicken?
The shabu shabu omi meat that you cooked in the clear broth.
That's right, course number 23. Not really, but it feels like that. Had a lot of food here today.
Yes, I feel like this could have been all.
Yeah.
It would have been plenty.
Would have been delicious and plenty. Very generous.
It's a lot of food.
All right, Cecil's face. Yeah, and we still have to finish the sake. So. Now you're looking forward to that.
But to be honest, by then we could barely move. I think I was appropriately ambitious, but I could not eat the whole sardine with its eyes looking at me. Also, I chose not to look at the fish soup with the head in it. The broth and the other accompaniments were good, but there wasn't really a huge depth of flavor.
But we were absolutely okay with that because there were so many dishes that were amazing.
We arrived back at our room after dinner, and the bedding was all set up.
Our beds were amazing. I was worried they wouldn't be comfortable because they're so close to the floor, but we both slept like babies. Before we turned in for the night, we had to use our private onsen.
It encourages your body to relax for a deeper sleep, which we definitely enjoyed. If you've never used an onsen before, there are some rules to follow.
Before using the onsen, you must scrub your entire body.
It was convenient that our room had a separate shower room from the sink area, and it had everything you need to get squeaky clean before opening the connecting door to the terrace and the onsen. And if you're a woman, put your hair up and keep your towel out of the water.
If you're a guy, keep your towel out of the water too. The intention is that you're completely clean and naked before you enter.
You don't wash in it, and you don't drain the water afterwards, and you definitely don't wear a bathing suit. The water circulates and is filtered for temperature control, but you're not supposed to add water to it or do anything to adjust the temperature. And there's a bamboo screen that you can drop for privacy.
You're not supposed to rinse off after your onsen experience. You don't want to wash away any of the medicinal components of the water or reduce their effectiveness.
If you saved money by not booking a room with a private onsen, or if your ryokan doesn't have them, be sure you still make time for using the public onsen. Depending on the inn, you may have to make reservations.
You need to bring towels from your room to use here, and fully undress in the locker room before entering the bathing area.
Wash your body completely before entering the shared bath. Don't bathe in the shared baths, and rinse off any soap before entering. The next morning, I got up early to watch the sunrise.
We love watching sunrises and sunsets and luxuriating in the hot spring bath on an outdoor patio without a care in the world was a top-notch experience.
It was nice not to be in a public bath and have to worry about it getting crowded or that we were taking too long and we needed to make room for someone else.
The view of the lake was very peaceful and we could watch boats float past in the distance.
Eventually, we put on our yukatas again and went down for breakfast.
A little quicker this time.
We chose our preferred time for breakfast, which was 8 a.m. And that was ideal because it gave us time in our onsen without feeling rushed.
But don't make your breakfast appointment too late because checkout time is 10 a.m. and the breakfast foods will start to thin out a bit.
There really aren't lake checkout times because they have to turn over the rooms. And yes, we agree that 10 a.m. is pretty early, but that's fairly standard.
As usual in Japan, there were a ton of seasonal local menu items, primarily traditional Japanese foods.
There were various types of fish to barbecue, pickled vegetables, assorted types of miso soup, egg pancakes, squid wasabi, cod roe, tofu, and so much more.
This may look like a soft serve ice cream, but it's actually a frozen sweet red bean soup that's supposedly similar to gelato that's served alongside mochi.
For the Westerners without ambitious morning palates, there are bagels, croissants, and cereal.
We roasted some dried fish on the grill and then moved on to various other courses. The checkout process is white glove as well, and they have shuttles to take you back to the train station.
If we did it again, we probably would have waited until a later shuttle at 1:30 or 2 p.m. before heading out and taken that time to explore more of the grounds. And this is also a great time to get a spa service.
So let's talk about what we paid for our ryokan experience.
We booked through Hotels.com and paid 64,850 yen, which is $451.76. That includes $69 for our 12-course dinner.
There was an extra charge for our sake at dinner, which was another $9.21 US. We paid for that at checkout, bringing our final total to 66,170 yen, or $465.30 US.
You certainly can stay in a less expensive room without a private onsen, but you're at the mercy of how crowded the public baths might be, and also whether you're modest or have tattoos. Some ryokans don't allow you to book more than 3 months out. Because ryokans can book up very quickly though, as soon as you know that you're scheduling a trip to Japan, I would go ahead to see if the places that you're interested in are available earlier. Some of them are.
Try to avoid public holidays like Golden Week and New Year's because those are booked up pretty early. Some of the sites we used for booking were japanican.com, japaneseguesthouses.com, agoda.com, booking.com, and hotels.com. Let us know in the comments if you think it's worth getting a private onsen.
We'd love to know if you had your own ryokan experience and where it was. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. It's the best compliment you can give to us.
And check out findingginamarie.com where there'll be articles about this and more information, and our La Familia forum.
Until next time.
Until next time.